Hello and welcome to Daily Prayer today. Glad that you are with me. We are working our way through the Gospel of John, continuing on in John chapter 19. Listen for God's word to speak to you as we continue on. Let's go ahead and join together. First with this beatitude. Blessed are those who hunger for earth's oneness, for they will be satisfied. At the close of day, as busyness fades, as light dims and footsteps soften, we open again the inner door of our being to enter stillness, to feel our way in the dark to you. The silence from whom we are born, the name before names were spoken, the love of life's beginnings. At the close of day, we come. I invite you into a centering breath prayer as you are still and aware. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Our reading today is from John chapter 19, verses 7 to 12. Listen for God's word to speak to you. The Jews answered him, "We have a law, and according to that law, he ought to die because he has claimed to be the Son of God." Now, when Pilate heard this, he was more afraid than ever. He entered his headquarters again and asked Jesus, "Where are you from?" But Jesus gave him no answer. Pilate therefore said to him, "Do you refuse to speak to me? Do you not know that I have power to release you and the power to crucify you?" Jesus answered him, "You would have no power over me unless it had been given you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin." From then on, Pilate tried to release him, but the Jews cried out, "If you release this man, you are no friend of Caesar. Everyone who claims to be a king sets himself against Caesar." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. All right, so our reading for today, now continuing on with the sort of trial, the now condemnation of Jesus. And we have this back and forth, this sort of political football between the Jews, as they are called here, the religious authorities, Jewish religious authorities, the Sanhedrin, and Pilate, Pontius Pilate, the governor of this Roman province of Judea. Both have a certain amount of authority, and Pilate has just brought Jesus out, said, "Hey, listen, I can't find anything wrong with him. According to Roman law, I'm not actually technically allowed to execute him. So take him, execute him yourself. This is something that you can do." And their answer is, "No, according to our law, he needs to be put to death because he claims to be the Son of God. But we still want you to do it." And we get a glimpse of sort of this picture. Now, this is, again, could be very much a literary picture of this politician who's sort of stuck in the middle. It's interesting because he comes back to Jesus. He says, "Where are you from? What is your deal, guy?" Jesus doesn't say anything. He says, "Don't you realize that I have the power to free you or to crucify you? And yet the narrative tells us very much so that he does not actually have that power. He has at this point over and over tried to release Jesus. He offered up to let him free as this sort of Passover gimme, this Passover sort of absolution. It's not the word that I'm thinking of, but anyways, he's said to the Jewish authorities, hey, I have no reason to crucify him. And so it seems that he does not actually have the power to free Jesus. It seems that he doesn't necessarily have the authority, the power to crucify him under the law. Now, does he have the power to do so anyways? Yes. And that then sort of lines up more with the understanding that we have of him historically. Now, to be sure, part of the sort of non-scriptural attestation that we have to Pontius Pilate, much of it comes from a Jewish historian named Josephus, who really didn't like Pilate, it seems. He has a very negative view of him. And according to Josephus, at least, Pilate was bloodthirsty and violent. And so this sort of person who is hemming and hawing and sort of trying to find the political, way out, that doesn't quite line up with that. So could be that Pilate is more complex than we realize. Could be we have sort of different perspectives on the same person. Could be that, again, the author of this gospel is intentionally trying to create that situation. Again, back to this idea of, and Jesus reiterates this, he says, you would have no power over me unless it had been given to you from above. We'll talk about that in just a second. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin. John's gospel very much is trying to put the responsibility of this death on the religious leaders. And so this sort of, I guess, hemming and hawing, this sort of like this finagling that Pilate is trying to do is there to heighten this. Pilate is doing everything he can to get Jesus to be freed, but those who actually hold the power and the authority, the religious authorities in this casting of the story, they bear the responsibility. They're the ones who metaphorically pulled the trigger. They signed the order. They made sure that this happened. That's part of the rhetorical goal of this gospel. It's to make sure that we know that the responsibility is on the Jewish authorities. Now, the other thing, this authority question, right? So I was saying that Pilate is saying that he has the freedom to, or he has the authority. Power is the word used here. The power to either free Jesus or to crucify him. I would say that it seems that he doesn't have that power. And Jesus would say that as well. But what Jesus is saying is, you only have that power. You only have that authority because it is given to you from above by God. This is a similar sort of rhetorical understanding as when the Jewish people after the exile, the Babylonian exile. It was the expectation of every sort of ancient army that if you are defeated, it means that their gods are more powerful than your gods. That's just the way things go. Battles are a way to show whose gods are more powerful. But when the Jewish people are defeated by the Babylonian Empire, their response is not, well, obviously the gods of Babylon are more powerful and more important than the God of Judah or Judea or Israel. What they said is, our God, Adonai, has given you the ability to defeat us. God is using your army and your gods to punish us for our unrighteousness. This is the sort of the take of many of the prophets. They say God is allowing this thing to happen. God ultimately has more power, but is allowing this punishment to happen so that we would see the error of our ways, and God will one day restore us. Similarly here, Jesus is saying, it looks like you have that power. It looks like you have the freedom to, or the power to free me, or the power to crucify me. But I am telling you that your power is only borrowed. Your power is in line with, is allowed by a power that is above you. And because of that, right, and maybe even the same implications, that just as the Babylonian Empire defeating the country of Judah is a sign on the unrighteousness of the Jewish leaders, this gospel is presenting the same story. It's not the entirety of the nation that is punished in this case. It's just one person. But it's the same thing. God is allowing this thing to happen to show the error, to show the unrighteousness of the Jewish authorities. So from that point on, Pilate is trying to release Jesus, but the Jews cry out, and we have this statement which is jarring. And it's intentionally so. Again, probably not super historically accurate, but in the story, in the narrative of this, the point that is being made is this: the Jewish authorities, who are under the rule of Rome, they say, if you release this man, you are no friend to Caesar. Everyone who claims to be king sets himself against Caesar. So while Jesus is proclaiming a lordship, a kingship, a power that is above Pilate and above Caesar, the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings, who is in control of all things and is allowing this thing to happen, the Jewish authorities are saying there is no higher authority than Caesar. And you, Pilate, if you are not falling in line with everything that the Caesar is saying, then you are an enemy of Caesar. This is very similar rhetoric to what we are hearing around us. Those who would dare, like people on the right who are critical of this war with Iran are being metaphorically crucified. They're being told, no, if you are not in line with Caesar, if you are not in line with the president and everything that he says and everything that he said in the last 30 seconds, because it may be totally different to what he said 2 hours ago. But if you're not in line, then you are an enemy of the president. Crackdown. Media pundits being investigated by the CIA because they talked to people in Iran before the war even started. right? It's that type of thing. And it's the religious leaders who are proclaiming the most loudly that Caesar is the final authority. It is chilling. And it is chillingly familiar. And we are called to ask ourselves, what is our final authority? The one who would demand the death of an innocent, or the one who would allow it to show the injustice? I invite you to take some time to consider, to pray, to meditate, to journal. When you're ready, we'll join our hearts together in prayer. Whichever way we turn, O God, there is your face. In the light of the moon and the patterns of the stars, in scarred mountain rifts and ancient groves, in mighty seas and creatures of the deep. Whichever way we turn, O God, there is your face in the light of eyes we love, and the salt of tears we have tasted, in weathered countenances east and west, in the soft skin glow of the child everywhere. Whichever way we turn, O God, there is your face. There is your face among us. We now join together in silent prayers for peace. May heaven's guardians of night welcome us. May heaven's messengers of grace bless our dreams. May heaven's angels of compassion protect our sleep, that we may wake afresh. That we may wake with eyes of wonder, that we may wake to the world's oneness, that we may wake to serve earth's heaven-blessed oneness. Thank you for joining me today for daily prayer. Join me tomorrow for some more. Like this video, share it with someone else, click on the subscription and the notification button. Go to our website, standrewspc.com, for more information. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We may wake is hard to say. If you happen to be watching on the day this comes out, it is Awkward Moments Day, Forgive Mom and Dad Day, Goddess of Fertility Day, National Biodiesel Day, National Lacy Oatmeal Cookie Day, National Sloppy Joe Day, Supreme Sacrifice Day, and Take Down Tobacco National Day of Action. Our reading today came from the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition. Our liturgy came from prayers. Let me see what it is. I'm sorry. It is Prayers with the Earth. Praying with the Earth, a prayer book for peace by John Philip Newell. There you go. Thanks for joining me. Like this video, share it with someone else. I said that already. Watch on YouTube, listen on podcast form, and sign up for a daily email on Substack. I don't know where my brain is, but thanks for joining me. Have a blessed day. We'll see you next time.